The Cybernetic Approach video, a sequel to the book, The Search for the Perfect Swing. Welcome to the Cybernetic Approach video. This is part 9. Record setting, putting style. When it's time to putt, where do you aim at? Forget about the break for a moment. You have a straight putt. Where is your target? You may be surprised to know that your putting target is not the hole itself, but a very odd-shaped flat surface. Forget the round hole. You should be aiming at the center of what appears to be like an ice cream cone that stretches past the hole at least some 25 inches. It might bend either right or left depending on the slope of the green and the ball's position. You know what they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. These are different shapes of the hole according to different greens and ball locations in regards to the break. Here is how you get into the discussion about the hole's real shape. What I'm going to talk about here is a practical implementation of Dave Peltz's research and some of my own. I took an inclined plane to get absolute consistency. This allows you to sink putts repeatedly. Then you can cover the hole and plot each ball's resting place. Calibrating the plane angle to barely reach the hole produces some misses. The slightest irregularity on the ball's path is enough to prevent it from reaching and falling into the hole. The inclined plane experiment shows that the final trajectory on the green is the one where the break or imperfections affect it the most. Too strong a putt, and of course, the ball skids over the hole. Just so you know, a ball would travel 54 inches past the hole and still drop in if it hits the far end of the hole dead center. To apply the cybernetic approach to putting relies on the key cybernetic notion of variety that I have been mentioning before. It is time to discuss this in more detail. What requires making much finer distinctions? A putt that has to stop exactly over the hole with a 4.25 inch diameter, or a putt that can go several inches behind that spot and still go into the hole. The control needed is much more in the first situation, therefore much harder to achieve. Both Nicholas and Harvey Penick liked the complicated solution, but they limit the target area to the size of the hole. I think that had the Golden Bear used the cybernetic approach, he could perhaps have won 10 more majors. As proof of what I'm saying, I offer this personal evidence. This letter was sent to participants after a carbide golf putting contest in Las Vegas. I will read the punchlines and you can reach your own conclusion. Well, you can see the heading. Javier Rivas sinks 52 putts to win $1,000 in the carbide putting contest. At the 1997 PGA Show in Orlando, Kent Brown made 41 putts in a row. We thought that was just an incredible number. Have you ever come close to making 41 10-footers in a row? Well, incredible has been redefined. Javier Rivas of Mexico stepped up and coolly made 52 putts in a row during the last hour of the show. Absolutely unbelievable. On top of that, Kent Brown came along right behind him to ram in 18 in a row to finish second and win $500. Jay Ciccarone finished third with 14 in a row and took home $250. Carbide thanks all of you for participating. Be sure to see us in Orlando, where you'll have another opportunity to try your skill at winning $1,000 at the PGA 1998 PGA Show. Best regards, Steve Sachs. Here is the rest of the story. I knew I needed 15 putts to win, so I thought, make 5. Now 5 again, and again. First place. I got it, and kept going. When I made 20 putts in a row, my discriminatory power or control variety of my hands just skyrocketed. As soon as I hit the ball, I knew if the ball was going to barely make it to the cup or was going in on the left side or the right side. So I adjusted accordingly, and the putts just kept dropping in. The show was closing and lots of people stopped to take a look. How many? I was listening to them react. What? 30? Really? What? 40 in a row? By the time I made 50 putts, I was really, truly embarrassed. So I quit. I handed the carbide putter to my host. Then I was politely asked to continue until I missed. So I resumed. I made 2 more putts and then pulled the 53rd putt a little too much. I wanted to get out of there. The organizers took some pictures and I left with my $1,000 check, a huge postage check, and the winning putter as a gift. Once outside, I paid $50 for a limo, not to stand in the long taxi line. Back at the hotel, I handed over the winning putter to my friend, the insomniac 2-handicapper whose only practice is in bed at night. I still use my old Bandit putter, the same one I've had for 50 years. The current paradigm is that the best putting method is using your shoulders. This contradicts cybernetic theory in the sense that shoulders and their muscles have no way of making the much finer distinctions made by your hands. Could you paint a miniature painting with your shoulders? Of course not. The 1-second swing is perfectly applicable to putts of all lengths. Swing duration is kept constant so that the length of the backswing determines the total distance you want the ball to roll towards your objective, the odd-shaped statistical hole I talked about earlier. The new USGA rules require rethinking the best putting method. Judging by the huge number of putter gripping styles, it is difficult to say which one produces the best selection variety, which is what you want to use against the challenging perturbance variety, such as the one presented by a hard-breaking medium-distance putt that you could be facing. It helps to keep in mind that nearly 25% of all par putts are from inside 10 feet. So you do not need to generate much force, as you need control to keep the line. The knee-anchored putting grip is not a loose grip at all, but rather firm. I used an inverted or crescent grip and would make the smallest backswing possible and really hit it firm. It is incredible that a 2-inch backswing can solve so many golf shots in one round of golf. Brandt Snedeker is an excellent putter in the PGA Tour who also uses the shortest possible backswing. Thank you, Brandt. You gave me some money. Thank you. Regardless of the putting style and grip you use, practicing the putt is very tricky and should not be taken lightly or without a clear, observable objective in mind. I see a lot of pros place a dozen balls 5 feet or more from the cup, forming a circle. Some of these putts will have a break going one way and others the opposite break. This variety source messes up the learning process. In the final analysis, all putts are straight after you adjust for the speed and the break. And carrying a second putter as your 14th club is not a bad idea at all. Again, the key to effective control is the ability to make finer and finer distinctions. Putting with your shoulder suppresses feedback from the smaller muscles. If 1 stroke per round is saved, that is 4 strokes for the tournament. It is always better to place the target behind the hole. This illustration shows how exactly the same grouping of putters produces 2 very different results. 5 more pink balls go in than in the yellow ball example. You must always have an idea of where your indifference lines are on the green. A very fast 5-foot with a break may be just as hard as a 15-footer going straight uphill. Plan for the next shot and lessen costly mistakes. The best way to practice and develop a very fine touch is to practice perfectly straight putts a long time until you are capable of knowing in advance, as soon as you hit it, that the ball is going to reach the hole and drop. Once you can do that consistently with a 5-foot, then a 10-footer, then a 20, a 25-footer, 30-footer, you are ready to practice breaking putts. Accelerated learning requires a stabilized goal that provides the best and most precise feedback possible. If your target is changing, however imperceptibly, the brain cannot figure out where the out-of-control variety came from. Did it come from the ground or from the stroke? One sure way to ensure you are putting the exact same putt over and over until you build a specialized network inside your head is to insert a small tee all the way down into the putting green surface. That way you are sure you are eliminating variety. The learning process becomes very reliable. Neurons that fire together wire together. This kind of practice made me totally sure that I could win the $1,000 check at the Carbide Golf exhibit in Las Vegas, as it turned out. Find out more about neurons that wire together and how they create your mind and your world in the 10th and final part.